Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to part 2 of my Applied Energistics mod spotlight. I've got a lot of stuff to cover here, such as the automatic crafting system and a couple other cool blocks that we didn't get to in part 1. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at the rest of Applied Energistics version 8. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright, now if you guys are anything like me, you very often forget a crafting component when you're at a crafting table. So what better way to make this even cooler than to show you guys the Emmy remote access terminal. This is cool. So where's this thing at here? I think we're looking for the wireless access point. There it is, wireless access point. Okay, now to go along with that, we're going to need another nifty little gadget. It's this thing right here. There it is. Wireless access terminal. Now these guys are a little, expensive. The wireless receiver here, of course, requiring an Ender Pearl, which makes a little bit of sense. You're going to need the access terminal with the wireless receiver to get your handheld item. What do you think it's going to do? Well, it's pretty obvious. The wireless access point, you just place it down on your network anywhere. I can just throw it right there. Okay. Now once we've got this wireless access point set up on your network, it can wirelessly transmit information to you. In order for that to work, though, you're going to have to sync up your wireless access terminal with the controller that it's going to connect to. So boom, just drop it in the top slot there. You can see it's now linked. We can now access the inventories from this item. Now the bad news here is that it doesn't really have that great of a range. Right now, it's only got about a 16 block range. So even this far away, it's not going to work. It's nice for working with inside your base though. So if you've got like this whole wireless, or you've got this, Emmy network set up inside your base, great way to work with it, but you're not going to be able to run halfway across the map and access all your inventory. Sorry, just not going to happen. Now you can increase the range of this thing just a little bit with this guy right here, the wireless booster. Requires just a little bit of quartz and redstone, not too bad. They stack up to 64, but you can only put 16 at a time into the wireless access point. What this does, each one of these inside your wireless access point increases the range by 1. So we can now reach this thing from all the way over here, but its current range is the original 16 plus 16 more, which brings you down to 32. So you've only got about a 32 block radius instead of 16 when you've got those 16 items in there, which is, better than it was, but still you're not going to be able to reach this stuff all the way across the map. So just keep that in mind. It's pretty short range, but it's great, like I said, inside your base when, like me, you might forget some items as you're crafting. And just like the access terminal, you can search for items by typing in the top up here, and you're good to go. Awesome. You can also, by the way, sort things, so you can sort by name or the number of items or the priority, different things like that. You can also sort by order and change it, the sorting direction. So you can go from, if it's sorting by the number of items, you can go from most to least or least to most. Nice. You can do that in the normal Emmy access guy as well, right here. Same buttons exist. And we haven't gotten to the crafting part yet, so I haven't shown you that, but that button I'll show you in just a moment. Now another interesting block, I've already showed you the importing and the exporter, but what if you have some other mods that like to transport items around like Buildcraft or Red Power or something along those lines? Well, for that you're going to want the ME interface. Pretty cool. Now this guy looks complicated, but don't worry, it's really pretty simple. So how does this interface block work? Well, it's actually pretty cool. There's a bunch of different things in here. The two ones that you can work with right now that doesn't require something I haven't showed you yet are these two blocks, export config and exported items. Export config is where you tell it what you want it to export out of the network and place inside this block. So for example, if you want to keep half a stack of cobblestone in this block, just go ahead and put it in the export config, and boom, it's going to pull half a stack of cobblestone out of your network. So right now we've got 417, all right, and it's going to keep that populated, okay? So now we've got 385, and if I pull out the other half a stack, boom, it's going to keep populating it with half a stack. And you can also, of course, pump items out just like this into a chest. So I've got a chest here. I'm going to just go ahead and turn on this autarkic gate and say, hey, keep pulling out with the energy pulser. And what's going to happen is it's going to keep pulling the cobblestone out of the interface block, and the interface block is just going to always keep 32 cobblestone in there, just like it was told to. How cool is that? And you can see it slowly getting pulled out here and all going into the chest. So the interface is how you can interface between this mod and other mods that use transports of items. Awesome. Now if I clear the cobblestone out of there, it'll no longer keep cobblestone in there, it'll actually suck it all back in. The interesting thing about this, and I'm going to go ahead and break this block right here, is that this block, when it gets an item that's not listed in the export config, it's just going to suck it right into the network. So for example, if I throw some redstone into the exported item slot, boom, they're just going to disappear. Where'd they go? Right into the chest here. So that went from 800, I'm going to put 16 in there. Boom, disappeared. Where'd it go? Right over here, 816 redstone. Nice. So what happens is items that go into the interface, if they're not supposed to stay in there because they're configured to, then they're just going to go directly into the network and go find the nearest chest to go land in. Otherwise, if they're told to keep a certain amount of items in, boom, it's going to make that happen, and it'll always keep half a stack inside the chest like that. Pretty awesome, right? So that is how you can deal with the interface. So we can, of course, use this to pump items through. So I've got some smooth stone in here. Okay. What I'm going to do is autarkically pulse it in there, and boom. What's going to happen is all the smooth stone will go land in this inventory, and they're going to instantly be transported into the network. See? So as soon as it lands in there, it's going to say, smooth stone's not allowed in here. Throw it into the chest network somewhere. Awesome. So your interface is your interface between the rest of the mods that interact with blocks like that and this mod. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. All right, so let's talk about automated crafting. For this, you're going to need a multi-block structure. It's one of Emmy's first multi-block structures, I want to say. You're going to need 4 different types of blocks, and they're going to do different things. So let's talk about how to build our multi-block structure that can automatically craft for us. What we're going to need, first off, are some containment walls. Now, your multi-block can be different sizes. I think the smallest one you're allowed to have is 3 by 3 by 3, which leaves 1 empty slot inside. Okay, but I'm going to build a 4 by 4 by 4 just because, I don't like to do things small. I'm not positive what the largest one can be. So I'm checking on what the size of the multi-block can be, but I'm going to go ahead and build the 4 by 4 like I said I would. So what's the benefit of building larger blocks of crafting? Well, I'll show you. Don't worry. I'll get to it. Now, the outside edges of this thing need to be made with this nifty block right here, the Emmy Assembler Containment Wall. You're going to need a good amount of quartz, iron, and gold for this. Now, the outer edges of this block need to be made with heat vents, so that's going to require just some Emmy cable and some iron bars. You're going to need a lot of iron for the heat vents. Those have to go on the outside edges all around, okay? So we're going to build it like so. And the top 2, don't forget. Now, inside this block, we're going to have 2 options, and they're going to do different things. First off, we've got the Emmy Crafting CPU. What this does is it increases the speed of this auto crafter. It's going to craft faster when you have more Emmy Crafting CPUs inside of it. For this, I'm just going to put like 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that, okay? Now, the other item that we can place inside here is the pattern provider. You need at least 1 of these inside of a network at any given time, so I'm going to go ahead and put 4 of them in. And what this does is it allows more storage of different patterns. You can see there's a bunch of slots in each one. Okay. Now, when I complete this multi-block with the last few heat vents, boom, it should configure, and it's good to go. Nice. You can also see that there are 4 pages, 4 patterns to go in. Cool. So you can see page 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of 4. That's because I put 4 pattern providers in there. Pretty much makes perfect sense, right? Yeah. All we need to do now is connect this up to some Emmy cable, and this block will become accessible to our network. Awesome. Now, how do we tell it what to craft? Well, let's go over here to our Emmy terminal. All right, nothing new here. Crafting terminal, nothing new here. All right, how does this work? Well, we're going to need 1 more block. And for this, we're going to need just the other block called the ME Pattern Encoder. There it is. All right, let's take a look at this guy. Not a terribly bad recipe, by the way. Just need one of those conversion matrix deals. Okay. This does not need to be connected to the network. It can go anywhere. Cool, Emmy Pattern Encoder. Now, the way this works here is we're going to need a blank pattern, okay? And you're going to need to craft a new blank pattern every time you do this, which requires some glowstone dust and some quartz. A little expensive, but not terrible, okay? So I'm just going to get myself a good stack of those guys, okay? You place 1 in the far right slot. It won't let you put any more than 1 in there. So even if you have a full stack and you left click, it's still only going to let 1 go in. What you do with your pattern encoder is you set up the pattern of the recipe you want, just like so. And you'll see that it automatically tells you what the output is over here. That's important. Now watch what happens when I hit encode. Boom, turns to blue, and you can see that it's telling you it crafts 1 furnace with 8 cobblestone. Pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and get something else here, okay? Let's get ourselves a, a chest pattern. Let's do that. Cool. And note that also it's using like the invisible, like, just fake block things. Okay, I'm going to encode that. Now, as you get multiple of these things, it might be hard to keep track of which one's which, and just kind of looking at it and mousing over to figure out what it is could be cumbersome, especially when you have a lot. So hold down the Shift key on your keyboard when you have them in, well, I think it's when you put them in the assembler here. Cool, there we go. Holding down Shift shows you that you've got the assembler pattern for the furnace and the chest. Pretty cool, right? Nice. So all you got to do in order for this to work, just hold down Shift, and you can see what they are. So eventually, as you build up lots and lots of items inside your molecular assembler, it might be a good idea just to know that little shortcut. Now that this thing is connected to the network, we can go to our access terminal. Check this out. You'll note that now the chest and the furnace are both available inside the terminal. And instead of telling you how many of them there are, it's giving you the craft option. When we click on it, for the furnace, for example, it's asking you how many furnaces do you want to craft. I'm going to say 10 and hit begin. And boom, it crafted 10 furnaces using the cobblestone inside the inventory. Awesome. Now I can pull those 10 furnaces out. I can just, leave 5 in there, whatever I want to do. How cool is that? Now, as to this button over here, you can toggle through and just see only stored items, only craftable items, and both. So that's what that button was about. Nice. If we want to get ourselves a couple chests, not a big deal. Let's get 3 of them. And you'll note that it's sitting there and it's not crafting them. Why not? Probably because it doesn't have any wood. But if we want to make sure that that's the problem, we can go over here and get ourselves the crafting monitor. This is a pretty cool block, okay? What you have to do with this thing is just hook it up to your network somewhere. Doesn't matter where. I'm going to put it right over here. Cool. And if you open it up, it'll tell you what it's currently working on crafting. So let's go over here and say we want to craft, 3 more of these things, okay? Now it should tell you that it's currently working on crafting 3 chests, and it's currently missing wood. So let's throw some wood in this network. Boom. And it should start crafting it. There we go. Went ahead and did it. Nice. So you can see here what it's working on. And if you want, you can left click and shift to cancel a job. Nice. So we've got this nifty thing here. Oh, there we go. It crafted the other 3 from before. Cool. So if I tell it to craft, a couple more chests, let's say 3 more. There we go. It crafted 2, and it's still waiting on a little bit more wood to craft the last one. So let's throw some more wood in there. It might have a little bit of a delay before it catches up and realizes, oh yeah, I've got the items I need. Let's get taken care of. We can come over here and see what's going on. And we'll just give it a second to see if it crafts. So that's the auto crafting system. Like I said, multi-block structure, hold shift to see what your different patterns are, and it will get intelligent about trying to figure things out. So let's get a nifty little pattern here and see what we can do. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and added a couple things to this molecular assembler chamber here. I added machine blocks, generators, batteries, and cable patterns. Now I've already got some of these guys in here, the furnaces, and as you know, a machine block requires a generator, or the generator, requires a machine block, it requires a rechargeable battery, and it requires a furnace, and the battery requires some, copper cable. So I taught all these recipes to this thing, so why don't we come over here and see what we've got? Well, I don't have anything, really, at all, do I? Let's go ahead and see what happens if I craft a generator. Is it going to craft all the stuff that's required? Oh boy, I hope so. Begin. Blah, blah, blah. Done. Nice. 2 generators. So if you saw it, it was very quick, but it quickly made a bunch of rechargeable batteries and machine blocks. Now remember, I did put a couple of those blocks inside the middle here that increase the speed of the crafting. So I just wanted you to be aware that, if you don't have those upgrade blocks in the middle there, the crafting CPUs, that it'll be a little bit slower. I should also note that every crafting operation requires 3 power. So it definitely, oh boy, look at this. We're already using up to 33 energy units per tick now. So because we've hooked up the molecular assembly chamber, we've got even more power draw coming out of here. But then every individual crafting operation draws even more power. So you can imagine that as you start expanding the system, it's going to draw more and more power. But like I said, the power I think is still being balanced a little bit, so expect those numbers to change in a bit. Now there's one other thing I want to show you with regards to automatic crafting, and that is, well, I know that I can get generators from making machine blocks, and I know machine blocks require refined iron, but what if I don't have any refined iron handy? What if all I have is regular old boring iron ingots? How can I automatically craft one of those? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to grab one of these, and I'll get myself, while I'm in here, just one refined iron, okay? What we can do is we can come over to the pattern encoder. Now by default, the pattern encoder, when you place an item in there, is going to tell you what its crafting recipe is. But if you want, you can override that by placing an item in the output slot. Note now that you're saying that iron ingots become refined iron through some process. And you can hit the encode button there, and this guy's saying crafts one refined iron with iron ingot. So how can we use this guy to our advantage? Well, why don't I just show you right here what's going to happen. I'm going to get myself a couple things and clean up my inventory a little bit. Let's get, and I'm going to clean all this stuff out here. I'm going to get a furnace. We'll make it a powered furnace just to make things easy. And a redstone energy cell to make sure that we have plenty of room. And then I want to get this block over here. Remember I said there was another line in here that I didn't tell you how it worked, the Emmy interface? Well, this is what it's going to do. So let's get the Emmy interface. Now what you want to do with your Emmy interface is place this block on the side of the block that does the work that you want to do. So basically, in this case, we want to input into the top of the furnace, right? So why don't we put the interface on the top of the furnace like this, okay? And I'm going to set the left side of this thing to be no output yet, okay? So what I'll do is I'll get that interface block, this guy, and I'm going to connect the cabling up like so. So I've got some Emmy cable here. Cool. We'll just hook it up to this wireless access point. It really doesn't matter. And then we're also going to hook up one of those, well, I'll hook up that part next. We'll do the import bus. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to tell this interface, hey, here's an assembler pattern that says one refined iron is made from one iron ingot. We can put that in the processing slot of the interface, and then what's going to happen is this block is going to say, all right, if you put an iron ingot, and since it's on the top, it'll just throw it in the bottom of this or on the top of this powered furnace. If you give me an iron ingot, you'll get back somehow, some way, refined iron. Okay. So let's take a look here. I'm going to put the import bus on the side. Okay. And the import bus, as we know, will just suck everything out all the time. Okay. So what should happen now? Okay, if everything's configured properly, if I come over here and I say request a machine block, let's get two of them. Boom. It's going to start crafting. And if we look over here, you can see it's currently waiting on refined iron. It's not missing materials, it's waiting on refined iron. And we can come over here and see a bunch of refined iron being made in the powered furnace. Nice. So, this guy threw the refined iron, or the iron ingots in, got some refined iron out because we have an import bus that automatically sucks it back into the system, and then boom, we're back over here. We should eventually get our machine block once we get our 8th refined iron. How cool is that? Nice, look, got our machine block. Awesome. Now if we come back to our powered furnace here, you'll see that it's through another 8 refined iron in. So it's actually crafting up that extra refined iron now, and we'll get our second machine block, because remember I did request 2 after all. So it kind of queues everything up and it builds them in order. Pretty nice, right? Nice. Now there's another block I want to introduce to you guys. It's called the Emmy Drive. This guy is kind of like a chest on steroids. It's kind of like a multi-chest, if you will. Basically, the way it works is you can plug your Emmy Drive into your network wherever you want, doesn't matter, boom, and it goes right there. Now you'll note that it has an interface for 10 slots. What do you think goes in there? I'll give you a hint. It's these things right here. Remember, all the items are being stored on these little storage units, right? So if I place these storage units inside the Emmy Drive, boom. Now those items are available. So I can go ahead and pull this thing out as well, and everything's being stored on the drive, right? So we've got all these extra storage drives, and you can see here that they've got the same little color code on them, and they've got little slots to indicate when things are filled up. Pretty cool, right? Very cool. That's actually a really nice interface on that block. So now you can store multiple of these things all within this block. Now the one downside is you can't access it like you could from the chest, but that's not that big a deal. You can access it from over here just like you could before. So all the items are still available and still usable right from this interface. It's just that they're now stored multiple disks inside the drive. Cool. Alright guys, now there's another block that I want to show you here. It's called the I/O port. Now you're going to want to hook this up to your network somewhere. It doesn't really matter terribly where, like most of these blocks. You can put them really kind of wherever. I'm going to put them right there. Sure, why not? What can we do with this? Well, we can transfer items from an existing storage unit to the network, or we can transfer it the other direction, from the network into a storage unit. So right now I've got a bunch of stuff in our network, right? We've got all these items stored on this disk space over here. And what I can do is just go ahead and set this up. You can see it's also got a redstone mode of always active and always active without and with signal. So you can, control it with redstone. You can also interface with these, pulling items in and out from the top and bottom. So what we can do is we can say, right, we want to transfer from the network to the disk. So let's put an empty storage unit in here. Boom. Pulled out a bunch of items, right? And check this out. These guys are all empty. Cool. And if we check our interface here, you can see that only crafting things are available. We don't actually have anything in the network anymore. That's because we just transferred everything in our network onto this giant storage disk. And I can prove that by coming over here and just putting the storage disk inside the Emmy chest, and we can see all the items that were in our network before are in there. Now, of course, cobblestone and smoothstone are still bouncing around because this setup is still there, right? But, we've now got everything transferred onto this disk. What we could also do is the other direction, of course, so we can take everything that's on this disk and just dump it into our network somewhere. Boom. And you can see as soon as it emptied it out, it moved it over here. That's this operation mode, move to output when empty. You can do the same for when work is done or when it's full. Okay, so the way this works is it just threw everything back onto the storage disks here, and it kind of, balanced it out a little bit. Now, of course, this was pre-formatted for redstone and cobblestone, so this disk only accepted redstone and cobblestone. So this is a nice way to transport items, from one network to another. You could use ender chests to transfer things from one network to another. Like, say you had a quarry, right? You could get everything stored on this disk in a quarry, and then just bring this little disk back here, and it's got like all your items in it, and you just dump it right into your network through the I/O port. So there's a lot of different neat mechanics you could think of to come up with for transferring items around in this neat little compact storage medium. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, definitely. Now the last item we have here is the Emmy storage monitor. This is a neat little block. It's a little different. What you can do with it is you can kind of place it wherever you want in your network, like that for example. Now if you right click on it with an item, boom, it's going to make that item shown on the monitor, and it can monitor how much storage is available for that item. So you can see right over here, if we go to our interface, we've got 174 pieces of cobblestone, and that's exactly what it's telling us. We've got 174 pieces of cobblestone. Now you can go ahead and right click on things. So there's 32 of those in there. We don't have any minium stones. We don't have any of these items, right? So you can't put items into the network with this, but you can check to see how many of items you have in there. Pretty cool. All right, now if you shift click this with a wrench, and I think this wrench will work. Yep. Storage monitor is now locked. Now when you right click on it, there's no change. It just locks the storage monitor in place. So at all times you can find out, what's going on in there. And you can do the same thing if you shift click again, it unlocks it and you can change it around. Not bad, right? Now what you can also do is get yourself an Emmy conversion matrix. We've used these for a couple things. These are a component in a lot of the crafting materials out there. Okay, so you can see there's a bunch of stuff you can use to craft with this, right? If you shift right click this thing here, it actually changes this block. The block will still operate pretty much the same way as it did before. However, when the block is in locked mode, okay, watch what happens when I right click on it. Boom, it just gave me a stack of cobblestone. How cool is that? So when you right click on the block with that upgrade in it, it allows you to access a stack of cobblestone at a time. Not bad. Now you can't put items into the network this way, so right clicking and left clicking actually doesn't put items into the network. There's no way to put them back in, but it does allow you to access items quickly and easily using that right click functionality. Pretty awesome. Now I think that about covers almost all the blocks and items in here. There's one or two more things I want to show you real fast. There's the vibration catalyst and there's the entropy accelerator. These are two items that are available in this mod that are just kind of neat items. They don't really relate to this whole networking thing, but they do have some cool abilities. You can see they do require some EU storage, so that's definitely necessary. What these two blocks do is actually kind of cool. Let's go see. If I right click on sand with the entropy accelerator, boom, it accelerates the entropy. Ha! How cool is that? It actually smelts the item for you automatically, basically. So, long story short, that's what that does. It can work on a couple different things. Specifically, it can work on like cobblestone to stone and a couple other things like that. Now, the other thing is this guy, the entropy accelerator. That kind of does the opposite. It's a nifty little tool. You can right-click on water and get yourself some ice. Not bad. I think there's more tools like this that are planned, but I just wanted to show you them just for the completeness factor. But basically, I've shown you everything that I'm aware of, at least in this mod at the moment. There's plenty of other stuff, I think, getting cooked up. This is a relatively new mod, and it's actually like really pretty far advanced at this point. Like I said, there's some more balancing and I think some changes coming up nearby to adjust, energy usage and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what Algorithm X2, he's the mod author for this, but it's a really cool mod. There's a lot of different things here, and I think it can really change the way some people store their items. But like I said, it's a pretty high tier mod. It's definitely a later, at least a mid game, but definitely later on mod. A lot of the recipes are pretty expensive. I should note that it integrates with Buildcraft, so some of the items that you can make, so let's say, for example, let's see, one of these guys in here. So this advanced processor, okay, this guy actually requires a diamond and some redstone and some silicone. You can actually make this, and I think it's a little cheaper if you do, in your Buildcraft assembly table, that table that needs the lasers. But of course, then it requires power and stuff, so, keep that in mind. But yeah, it's a neat mod, and I think it's got a lot of potential, and it's going to come along nicely, like I said. So hope you guys enjoyed checking out the mod spotlight here on Applied Energistics. Definitely give it a download and play around with it, because it's a lot of fun to build these nifty and complex systems. I haven't actually played with this in a fully legit world yet, so I haven't had a chance to really check out like what it looks like with like a massive network scale, but let's just see that we're already using quite a bit of energy here just to keep things running, just to keep the lights on. We're using 36 energy units, and every time, like I said, we have an operation such as taking items in or out of the network and auto filtering things through, like in the powered furnace here, that kind of thing, and also auto crafting requires a bit more energy. Alright guys, so this is Direwolf20 signing off. Like I said, hope you enjoyed checking it out. It's a cool mod. Definitely go download it and give it a shot. Alright guys, gotta get going, so take it easy.